Welcome back to the OurView Podcast. On today's episode, I continue my conversation with Dr. Michelle Fynan. Join our conversation as we discuss the common myths surrounding sex, love, and disability. So, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the OurView Podcast. And I am very excited to welcome you all back for part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Michelle Fynan. And we are going to address some myths about sex, love, and disability in this podcast episode. And just provide some insight for those of you who live with disabilities who may feel that love is not in the cards for you, and just have a great conversation again about um, disability and relationships, just because uh, there's a lack of this conversation happening. It's not a topic that you
Mm.
hear about most often. So I'm grateful to have you back on this episode of the podcast, Dr. Michelle Fynan. So thank you and welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah.
love your space.
Yeah. So, if you could just give for those of you who may have missed part one, definitely go back and listen to part one. We had a great talk there, and you want to listen to that as well. But for those of you who are just tuning into this episode, can you give a brief introduction of yourself and who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Michelle here now that we are friends.
Yes,
We're
we
on
are.
episode 2, so clearly our
Yes.
relationship has progressed.
Yes, we're friends.
Um, so I'm so grateful to be here. We met on Clubhouse and we were in a space for people with disabilities. So I have a physical disability called osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a brittle bone disease. And in addition to being a woman with a disability, I'm a wife, I'm a mom of 2 little ones who you may hear in the background soon. They may make their presence known. But I'm also a clinical sexologist and a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a university instructor, and I'm stepping into this space of using virtual um, access to be able to provide intimacy coaching, relationship coaching, love coaching for people who are just having a hard time in that arena and helping them identify maybe the blocks that are getting in their way so that they can get the love that they want and deserve.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're doing things virtually, and um, because as we all know, those of us who live with physical disabilities, um, a lot of times we may run into situations where buildings are not accessible for us.
Mm.
So, being able to do things virtually has been a great joy for me. I I wear
Yeah.
braces on my legs that are like 7 pounds a piece, so
Mm.
I don't
Hmm.
have to put those on to go out of the house. It's like
Sold.
right, it's like I'm there, like I could just sit and be comfortable. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are doing things virtually, because that has been it's been great, like I said, for me, just to do things virtually and not have to, drag myself out of the house.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been great for me too
Right.
because as wonderful as it is to be able to reach so many more people and support so many more people, it also for the same reasons where it's like for me physical disability and how it affects me, I'm like I'm able to show up even if I have maybe an injury like I do,
Right.
and I can still show up and do the work that I'm called to do. So it's really great. I
Yes,
love it.
definitely. So this, like I said, this is part 2 of our conversation. Again, everybody go back and listen to part 1. And I'm very excited to talk about uh, disability and how it relates to love and sex and relationships, uh, because it is a topic that is often that goes unaddressed in a lot of
Mhm.
spaces. So, can you talk about what are some common myths of about sex, love, and disability?
Yeah, so I think the common myths about people with disabilities is that we are not sexual beings. You
Mhm.
know, we're superhumans, Arthur. Like,
Yes, yes,
that's fine. We're allowed to be heroic. We're allowed to be inspirational and
yes,
motivational and even just angelic, and that's okay.
yes,
But the idea of people with disabilities having sex is just something, like you said, it's not talked about. And, then as well, like, people don't like talking about sex, like,
right.
for one.
Mhm.
As a society here as a whole, not comfortable. People don't like talking about disability. There's a discomfort there. So then when we're talking about both, it's like it's too much.
It's like, whoa,
And then it's too
wait a
much.
minute.
And then they're okay. So then if people are going to say, all right, well, if people with disabilities are having sex, how? How in the world are they doing this? And with who? Who are these people?
Right.
You know? So those are some of the myths, that it's not happening, that, who are the people that actually would, like, that there's hurdles in having a fulfilling, intimate life with another, you
Hmm.
know, or even just with yourself.
Right.
That is like an unheard of thing. So, one of my missions is to not only encourage, but really normalize a place at the table when, like, for people with disabilities, when the topics of sex, love, and relationship are being discussed.
Yes, and that is so important because as people with disabilities, we are often um, excluded from tables, just in general,
Yeah.
of many topics and many areas in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to uh, again, we don't, or I should say, we change things by talking about them. There's the saying of nothing about us without us, and
Mhm.
that is it's so true. It's we can have the conversations and be a part of the conversations as well. So I
Love
like
it.
yeah, so that's really really cool. So you're a sexologist, is that
Mhm.
the correct term? So
Correct.
what concerns and what topics do your clients with disabilities have when they come to you about dating? What are some things that they
Mhm.
come to talk to you about?
Yeah. So I see people who are single and wanting to go into the dating world, and they're either apprehensive or just uncomfortable. And then I also see people who are actively dating or in a relationship, and they're finding that a lot of mindset hurdles and
Hmm.
tend to come up. So I would say that my clients in general are presenting with these feelings that they won't make a good partner, or because of their disability, or they feel unattractive or unlovable because of their disability. Some have shared that, they never really got any feedback from anyone else that they were beautiful, handsome, sexy, anything like that. So, and that one I really feel to my core, because, all of these things that people end up sharing, it's like, yes, I know, because I have been in that space.
Hmm.
And, you know, some feel like, because they're not getting that feedback, that it must be the opposite of true. So if someone's never been told that they are good looking, they're like, "Oh, I must be ugly then."
Right.
And it's just interesting that we believe that, even though I don't walk around and say, hey, you're human. And then it's like, oh, well, no one's ever told me that I'm human, so I must not be human. It's just, it's
Yeah.
interesting that we put so much weight on that. And it makes sense
Hmm.
because we want love, we want belonging, we want those human needs. And
Right.
people with disabilities are human. So some feel like their self-esteem is strong, but that sexual self-esteem may not be. We talked a little bit about that, how the two can be separate and yet overlapping. And
Yes.
then for those who are in relationships, they're finding that their mindset about their disability and even also the medical trauma that they have experienced
Yeah.
may get in the way of them being able to fully receive the love that they want. And
Hmm.
that the trauma work is another part of it too.
Yeah, because that really does have a huge impact on a lot of things, and a lot of has a lot of impact on how people see themselves, view themselves, based on
Hmm.
that trauma, which it definitely is traumatic. That things that people have been through, the
Hmm.
medical trauma. So that's wow. So that's really 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 great. That I know I've said it before, but it's really great that somebody like you exists in this world who
Oh, thank you.
yes, who really is focused on the disability community, because it's
Mm,
and it's I talked about it before, where there are resources that exist and places for people who have disabilities that can come in and see someone specifically, like yourself, to talk about these issues, but it's oftentimes hard to find. It's hard to locate
mhm.
people, who do serve the disability community. What tips can you provide for people who feel that love is just not in the cards for them? That they just have difficulty finding love, and they just may be at the point where they're just like, okay, I won't try anymore. I'll just stop trying to find
Mm.
love. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see that a lot, especially with people who are, okay, I'm going to download the app, I'm going to try. And then when it doesn't work out, it's like, I'm deleting the app, I'm done. And I feel that so deeply. So I would just invite people to consider how their thoughts might be shaping their reality. Because remember, I thought that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I was right in that I would be alone. I thought, I know me best. And I took that
Hmm.
and I ran with it. And it's like, okay, these people are like encouraging me. It's so sweet of them. But I know me best. And I just know that no one's going to love me. And I believed that.
Hmm.
And it was my biggest fear, you know, because
Yeah.
because I didn't like who that meant that I would be stuck with, and that person was me. It was like, I don't want to be alone. Oh, with me.
With
I don't want
you.
to be alone with me. So then who's going to want to be with me if even I don't want to be alone with me?
Right.
That was like a mic drop moment for
Yeah.
myself, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
And I believe once we're open, to considering that it is a possibility, and you just have to be open to the idea that you might be wrong.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, the next step is getting clear on what it is that you're looking for. Because again, going back to what I said in episode 1, where it was like, do I want to swim? Because I can like teach myself how to swim here. Or do I
Right.
want like to dive? And the
Hmm.
two are very different. Do you want to date? Is that your end goal? Or do you want love? What is it that you're looking for? And
Right.
you have to get clear, because if you're not clear, how do you know if you found it
Right.
already?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I think it's important. Another tip that I would give to people who are in that space is to just have someone that will hold that vision for you when you can't quite clearly see it yet, but you know that that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, be honest with yourself, plant that seed of possibility that you might be wrong, have someone in your life speaking the truth to you that, like,
Right.
you're going to find love. You're an amazing someone who can hold up that, like, mirror to you
Mm-hmm.
and speak the truth to you. And I think that part might be hard for people with disabilities, that asking for help part.
Yes.
I don't know about you,
Yes. It
but
definitely
I
can
tend
be.
to be terrible at it. So,
Yes. Yeah, I
and
have
and
gotten better, but yeah, it is
I have
definitely
too.
difficult. Yeah, it is difficult because I think we have been, for me at least, I know I've been taught to, do as much as you can, and
Yes.
I do know my limitations. I know realistically if I'm, if I'm at the grocery store, I know I can't reach the third shelf. I'm not going to bring the whole thing down trying to get something. Um,
I've done that just to kind of paint a picture for you. So,
but it's so I have learned my limitations in certain ways, but I think it's very important, like you said, to have someone to to hold that mirror up for you and just say
mhm,
like, hey, you got this. And um I think a lot of times in life, I use this pandemic as a good example, where
mhm,
I had a whole plan of what I was going to do for 2020 and 2021. I was going to
mm,
speak in so many schools, and I was going to reach this many kids and speak in different school districts and take this outside of New Jersey, reach different
yes.
states. And then, February and March of 2020 happened, and it was like, oh crap, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? But I've shared with people that, not much, not much in my life, as far as having a disability, not much in my life has gone the way that I planned, or the way that doctors have planned, or my parents had planned.
Oh,
So I'm used
love
to
it.
switching things up and changing and sticking
Yeah.
with something, that's a big thing. And with the, if you're choosing to do the online dating, or just before the pandemic, when we're out meeting people in person, and after, when we're allowed out again, to go and meet people in person, just to stick with it and be persistent with it, is, I think, is
Yeah.
a big key and a big thing to remember. And it's just like you're built to be persistent, like you've proven.
Mm.
People,
Mhm.
just people in general, like we've been
Yeah.
built to get through things and to just keep at it, and just but having the support of someone else to to encourage us, and to say like, okay, like, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that didn't work, but like, guess what, you're still great, and you're still going to find somebody. And it's I think the network of people that we surround ourselves with is um so important. I can't
Oh,
stress it
yeah.
enough, with the friends and family that I have. And just like I said, just to know that you are you're built to get through things and to keep pushing through. So it's
Yeah.
that's
And
the
you don't have to do it alone.
right.
I think, sometimes with disability, we can get into that mindset of feeling guilty about needing help, or
Right.
shame around needing to help, or feeling like a burden,
Hmm.
you know, or feeling helpless, and getting really into that space. And it's easy to slip there, but humans in general just need help. We need each other,
Hmm.
disability or not.
Right.
And we can do it ourselves. Like, when I shared how, like, I could climb the rack at the grocery store, but
Right.
then when I take everything down with me, would
Hmm.
it have not been easier to ask for help?
Right.
And another thing that I had to shift for myself was that people like to help me. People
Hmm.
want to help me. The more I could get into that space, and I was able to do that by saying, Michelle, you love helping people. You love it. You live for it.
Right.
Why is it that when you need help, it's this big thing where you're a burden and blah, blah, blah? No, like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So having
So
those real talks with yourself. is
Yes.
important.
Yes, that is so true. Very true. So thank you again for this great conversation. And it's very, again, very important that we share this knowledge and this conversation, have these conversations um, with people who have disabilities, and
Mhm.
just to just to offer some encouragement in some kind of way that uh, whatever you're looking for, it's out there, and there's somebody out there waiting for you, and um,
Or
y-
multiple
or multiple,
people.
right? Exactly, exactly. You just have to really stick stick to it, and just just pay attention to the self talk that you're having with yourself about how you see yourself. Reach out to your family and friends for that support, and just keep at it, and just you know go for what you want in life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
S-
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you could you just tell people where they can find you on your website and your social media platforms, just to connect with you, and see what you see, the services and the content that you have to offer for everyone.
Absolutely. So my website is www.drfynan.com. So it's DRFYNAN. And that's my handle for my social media as well. So follow me on Instagram at Dr. Fynan. Find me on Clubhouse at Dr. Fynan. I would love to have more discussions like this, and we could even continue our discussion in different rooms to have people be able to share their experiences and sit in that space together in solidarity. And
Yes.
on my Instagram and my website, I plan on working hard to create content and resources for people that are wanting that support. And I'm also offering free clarity calls with me. I love to talk. Please, let's hop on a call if you're looking for a little bit of support, more clarity, and if you want to meet your goals.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle Finan, my new
Thank you,
friend, Michelle.
Arthur. Yes, yes.
Yes. So I am grateful to have you do these two episodes, and sharing your knowledge with our listeners. And I am excited to be connected with you now, and to call you a new friend. So I appreciate your time, and I will be in touch.
Thank you so much for this time and the space that you've created for these important discussions,
Oh,
Arthur.
you're
Love
you're
you.
yes,
Love
love
you.
you, and you're welcome, and I will be in touch.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.